I mean, the Prime Minister is very fond of quoting history. Well, let me just say one thing to him about that. You can rabbit on as much as you like about the past. The more you talk about the past, the more you proclaim your embarrassment about the present and that you have nothing to say about the future. So you can go on, you can rabbit on, you can talk about 1981, you can talk about John Howard and Malcolm Fraser, you can talk about Sir Henry Parkes and the Prophet Moses, but nothing will relieve you of the responsibility you carry for what you are doing to Australian families at the present time. Now let me just remind you while we're talking history, and then we'll get to the future, which is what the Australian public want to hear from John Howard and Paul Keating about over the next 12 months. Just let's remind us, who gave us the worst recession in 60 years? Paul Keating. Who gave us the highest unemployment since the Great Depression? Paul Keating. Who gave us the highest current account deficit on record? Paul Keating. Who gave us the highest level of foreign debt since the Great Depression? Paul Keating. Who gave us the highest... Oh, it's all right for him to do it, but it's not all right for me. It's all right for him, but not all right for me.
Hi, perhaps you recognize me. It's your favorite president.
We will decide who comes to this country and the circumstances in which they come.
Anybody in this country doesn't minimize their tax. They want their heads rigged.
You're gambling with the lives of millions of people. You're gambling with World War III.
The answer is Mike, because I want to do you slowly. I was saved by God to make America great again.
We shall fight in the fields and in the streets. We shall fight in the hills. We shall never surrender.
It is already unhappy.
G'day everyone, welcome back to another episode of Commanding the Narrative. My name is Stephen Tripp. Thank you to everyone who is watching this. If you are watching this live on Facebook, Rumble or YouTube, you can contribute to tonight's conversation in the chat. And if you want to call in and yell at us or ask us a question or even just say something nice, you can hit that link to StreamYard and call in and have your say. But we're in the fishbowl again, back with Mr. Adam Zahra and also Dave right now, mate. Welcome. Good to see you again.
Great to be back.
Last time I saw you was the aftermath of the federal election. How good was that? And I remember that on that night, a good friend of ours, Mr. Sam Buno, basically blamed you personally for the whole election result.
It was my fault because I held Peter Dunn to account on bad policy ideas and bad campaigning. Because I brought attention to the fact that he wasn't doing a good enough job of promoting himself. It was my fault at all.
Yeah,
with my channel of 3,000 followers.
Yes, that's right.
And we can blame you for the current government we have.
Please do.
So Communist Australia is his fault.
Yep.
and Mr. Zahra, we were up on the Gold Coast.
We were up
last
on the Gold
weekend.
Coast.
We had a lot of fun up there.
It was a great time for the Australians for Better Government.
It was
a great congratulations to you for organising such an event. And I think you have to understand the scope of what was done. Okay, Stephen is in New South Wales, organises an event in another state, not knowing anybody.
In a venue I'd never been to.
In a venue that he had never been to. Got more than 100 people there anyway.
Sold out.
Well, we sold out the venue, which if you think about that, when it's political, it's really hard to even get 20 people in a room. I think our friends, the Libertarians, would know that it's hard to get more than 20 people.
The Liberal Party.
Oh, the Liberal Party.
Yeah.
You know, they got more people leaving than coming than joining at the moment. Okay. So what I'm saying is it's really hard to fill out a room for a political event. Now I've done it and now Stephen can do it. So what is it that we're doing differently to what our current
I think people are resonating with the message of Australians for Better Government. People instinctively know that there's something wrong, and we're talking about that. We're talking about solutions.
Yeah.
And I think that's what people are really resonating with. They like that. So, thank you to everyone that came along. A lot of people came up to me and they said that they follow this podcast and big shout out to you guys if you've made the trek to the Gold Coast, and hopefully you saw a lot of value in what we did. And we just had a meeting tonight with Australians for Better Government talking about where we go to next, with possibilities of us doing something in Coffs Harbour, something about probably do a big event in Adelaide next. Yep. We'll hopefully start to head around the country and talk more about what we're trying to propose with Australians for Better, or propose.
And I'm a patron of Australians for Better Government, but I think what we really need is the politicians who are the nails that are sticking out. So we have politicians like Malcolm Roberts. Now, Malcolm Roberts attended in Queensland. We had the former Senator Gerard Rennick. Yep. He attended and spoke as well. Yep. Okay, what happens is, what about Senator Ralph Babbitt, and what about Senator Alex Antich, and what about the senators that are wanting to speak out a little bit and want a little bit of force behind them? Well, come and join up, come become a patron, get on board. Okay, this is a call. This is a chance for not only to have your say in Parliament, but what happens is get people behind you as well.
And we've got a comment here from Tony, who obviously was there as a Secretary of Australians for Better Government. Says, great speech at Southport, Adam.
Oh, thank you very much. Much appreciated.
And Katie McCallum says, Stephen and Adam, you guys should have flanos on to match Dave.
I got my flano in the house, Katie.
All right. Well, let's kick it off.
I love that you guys should match me. I shouldn't be here in a blazer. You guys should be in flannel. Thank you.
Yeah. All right. So let's kick things off, and by letting everyone know about how you can follow us and support us, and it's by heading to commandingthenarrative.com. You can keep up to date with all our podcasts there, also articles that we put out, and also upcoming events. If you want to know who's on the podcast this week, you can head straight to commandingthenarrative.com. Don't rely on social media. Don't rely on anything else. Just go straight to the website. And while you're at the website, hit the sign up button in the top right-hand corner, and you'll get the regular newsletter. And also hit the donate button. If you can contribute to us in any way, it's much appreciated. The bank account is looking a bit a bit
low,
a bit sad, but if you do want to donate, it helps to pay for the stream, it helps to pay for the website, and most importantly gives us a very warm and fuzzy feeling inside, so that's very important. And while you're there, also hit this new button at the top. It's survey. So if you want to give your feedback to Commanding the Narrative, what you want to see on the future and some of the guests, please head to the website and hit the survey button, and you can fill in our feedback survey. We want to hear from you about what you want to hear on Commanding the Narrative, and it's just a way of a little bit of feedback from our audience. Also, let you know about Australians for Better Government, like I always do. I can never get the mouse right in this configuration here. But if you want to head to Australians for Better Government, what am I doing here?
Saturday night, it's throwing you off.
It's throwing me off, yes, that's right. We're not normally on Saturday nights, but yeah, please head to australiansforbetter.com. You see the prospectus there. Please don't download that prospectus. You can view it on the website, download it, share it out on your email list, share it with friends, share it on Facebook, wherever you need to do it. Help us get the message of Australians for Better Government out to people. Also, you can also take the feedback survey on the Australians for Better Government site, so please click that one as well. And also the footage from Sunday is also up on the website if you want to watch the whole event. Obviously it's 3 hours long. It's a big event, but a lot of great information, a lot of great speakers as well, so it's well worth checking it out. If you do want to watch the individual speakers, you can head to our YouTube page, Australians for Better Government on YouTube, which I'll bring up right now. And I've started putting up the individual speeches. Up already is Senator Malcolm Roberts. Dr. Christopher Reynolds is there as well. And also Cooper McCallum, who's our youth ambassador.
Wow.
17 years old, gave a great speech. A lot of great feedback from Cooper. So please head to our YouTube channel and also follow us there as well. I mean,
certainly a rising star, I think, Cooper.
Yeah, definitely, mate. He was... his first event speaking. He's the school captain at St. Patrick's, but he's a great guy and a great kid. And it shows that we really need to invest in our youth.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there's great kids out there.
Well, a 17-year-old addressing his peers is one thing. but a 17-year-old dressing like an older crowd, and let's face it, there was an older crowd inside the complex at Southport.
Yeah.
Okay. And a lot of people who, you know, proclaim to know a lot about a lot. Okay. And then you have a 17-year-old boy just coming in and kind of giving his opinion and his speech.
Yeah.
And I think he did a great job of it. And I think if you're going to watch one speech there, I think that's the speech to definitely watch.
Yeah, definitely.
And hopefully he'll fuel you on to watch the rest of them.
Yep. And lastly, just letting you know about Let's Rethink Renewables. Please head to letsrethinkrenewables.org. Again, we've got our prospectus up there that you can download and share out. But this one here as well, the 2025 Business Energy Impact Survey. Please check that one out. We've got some very, very interesting feedback from local businesses about how they're dealing with rising electricity costs and also the rollout of renewables. It's surprisingly, a lot of the businesses in the heart of the Northern Beaches want to support coal and all that. I mean, we can maybe even talk about this later in the show tonight.
Cheap, robust,
abundant, reliable.
Reliable.
That doesn't block their view of the ocean.
Yeah, that's right. Keeps the view. Because don't forget, $2 million views, right? More than $1 million views these days.
Yeah.
Actually, I got a little point just regarding energy right there, and it's just a bit of a sidetrack, right?
Yeah.
But I want to know, did anybody, especially in New South Wales, maybe in the local southwestern area, did anybody have trouble with their gas supply last night? Because we couldn't cook last night on the gas stove, so we could have the fry pan going, but we couldn't have the grill going to cook like bread or anything underneath it, right? Okay, then, right, a little bit later on, our gas heater, right, actually turned off, that there was no gas supply for some reason. Now, I checked it all, and our bill's up to date, so don't worry, we've paid the bill, okay? And I was having a look at that, and we would wonder, and Tatum goes, not only was Tatum my wife, goes, it happened also the other night. Now, I'm not home very often with work, right? But I was very curious to see if anybody has had, because I haven't heard anything about it on the radio, and I haven't heard anything about it on media, and I haven't really heard any sort of feedback on any of that at the moment. Was it just my house, or was it actual gas supply shortage where we could only have a minimum flow and run certain things at one at a time?
Like load shedding.
Like load shedding on gas. I would like to hear about that if somebody had experienced that.
Katie says, time to invest in wood-fired ovens, everyone. Seriously.
Yeah, I reckon.
I mean, all that stuff. Like, I love a good wood-fired like heater and stuff at home. But then it's like, oh, you should grow your own veggies, you should do this. At which point are we back to subsistence living, where we can't actually live a modern Western life because we're so forced to make all our stuff ourselves because we can't trust on the systems that were built in a modern society to actually exist and work.
That's a great point, Dave, because what happens is we're meant to be in a modern Western society. Should be able to flick a switch, lights come on. Should be able to flick the gas on, the gas comes on. Should be able to just have all this ease and use.
Go down to the supermarket and have things there.
Yeah, and not have to eat, have a treat for fruit once or twice a year, or have a treat for meat. What is it, 200 grams a year or something?
Everyone's got to have your own chickens, and you got to raise your own goats and your pigs. And
mate, let's just go back to the Stone Age. I mean, that's what we're. I mean, like, that's what we're kind of. That's what we're kind of doing.
That's what they're doing in South Africa, isn't it?
This is the thing. Like, like everyone's kind of like. And actually, you made a really good point, because all of freedom people or whatever.
That's why we have Dave on.
Yeah.
Instead of other people like Bruno.
Well, that's a great point though, right? Because people like us are kind of like, yeah, I'm going to go buy a farm, I'm going to grow my own cows, I'm going to have chicken and sheep, and that's like a goal, that's a dream for me.
Sovereign citizenship.
Yeah, well, not so much.
Don't go there.
No, I like.
We disavow, Dave. We disavow.
Look, you know what? There's some really good people who talk about sovereign citizenship, like Jody Lowen, those kind of guys, and they're investing heavily in that.
I don't mean that you're immune from Australian law.
Yeah.
I just mean you're self-sufficient.
Yeah, but that's what I mean. But that's what I'm saying. So I'm talking about but we've done that, and then we have all this infrastructure and we have all this kind of thing to not have to do that, and yet we're going back to it because it's failing.
Well, everything's failing because the world's going mad. So let's kick things off because there's a lot of stuff. We haven't done one of these panel shows for a while now. So there's a lot of stuff that's been happening throughout the last few weeks that we've got to catch up on.
This is my favorite kind of show.
This one. Well, you'd like this because I'm sure you're a big Sydney Sweeney fan, Adam.
Never heard of Sydney Sweeney.
You've never heard of Sydney Sweeney?
Never heard of Sydney Sweeney until we spoke about this advertised.
I bet you're glad you've heard of her now.
Well, Sydney Sweeney has my vote.
Okay. Well, let's hear some of the reaction from the little ad that she put out recently.
Yeah, but
Did American Eagle just run an ad for eugenics?
Genes are passed down from parents to offspring, often determining traits like hair color, personality, and even eye color. My genes are blue.
Sydney Sweeney has her genes.
Totally just talking about denim, right? Just a blonde-haired, blue-eyed woman explaining how her good genes gave her personality and purity. I mean, are we really going to pretend that this isn't a little fashy-coded? Look, I'm not saying that Sydney Sweeney personally wrote this ad to revive the Third Reich, but American Eagle absolutely knew what they were doing here. You don't get to drop lines about inherited traits, blue eyes, and great genes while zooming in on somebody that could have walked straight off of a Nazi propaganda poster and expect people not to catch that reference. Good genes used to mean racial purity in fascist circles, and now it's just denim marketing. We are watching fascist aesthetics sneak back into pop culture through fashion ads, trad wife influencers, and yes, now blue jeans.
What do you guys think about this nutcase? I mean, is Sydney Sweeney talking about her jeans, the jeans that she's wearing? Is that Nazi propaganda? Honestly.
all right. So she was talking about genetic genes at the start of it.
Yeah, but tongue in cheek.
It's a play on word.
Yeah.
What happened when, Volkswagen used to do, tongue in cheek stupid ads? Do you know what I mean? Like, what's
the thing is, this is that whole, like, they're projecting all this stuff on there around, because if you're white and blonde, that's like illegal. It's like, male, like, toxic masculinity. Yeah. There's this thing that because one attribute of you is true, then we're going to assign and project all this other rubbish on you that actually isn't there.
I agree. I think that's I think it's a far reach, and I think, why can't you have an advertised like that? It's just a gene ad.
Like, what's wrong with her being blonde and blue-eyed? That doesn't make her a World War II German pinup poster.
I think it's the best thing in the world. Blonde hair, blue eyes. Come on.
Well, look, I mean, there's a lot of stuff being made about all this stuff, but this was an ad by Tommy Jeans a few years ago. Yeah. So let's listen to this one.
My father has beautiful chestnut eyes. I got my voice from my mother. I like my hands. I take ballet at school. All kinds of dance is beautiful. I think I walk like my mom. Everyone says we look exactly alike. I got Tommy jeans. What else? He's not my dad, but I got Tommy jeans.
Isn't this the exact same thing?
Same ad.
I didn't see this one. I saw that like a few months ago. Beyonce.
Well, that's an old.
Yeah.
That's an old.
That's an old.
Rest in peace, Aaliyah.
I did a piece on the whole Sydney Sweeney thing. I dug up the Beyonce one from a few months ago.
Yeah.
Where now she's dyed her hair blonde.
Yeah.
And she's getting her kid off in the ad. Not doing her pants up. She's taking them off. Literally takes them off to wash them. But no one bats an eye because that's all progressive and she's a strong black woman and that's okay. But as soon as you get a blonde white chick,
blue-eyed
to do it,
white guilt.
Yeah, like white people are not allowed to exist in the narrative.
I'm not guilty about being white, people. Don't be guilty. I think that's the problem.
You're not blonde though. So
I'm a blonde.
No, you're not blonde.
Grey.
Yeah.
Not
well, I'm blonde, but I don't have the blue eyes, so I don't worry in the whole narrative.
Well, I guess the good question is, can white people, are they the only ones that can have good genes? And
that's the thing. Saying she's got good genes is not an exclusive statement saying she's the only one with good genes. And but
there's white people that can have bad genes as well. I mean, what's the
we're having this discussion, and I don't want to detract from the genes thing, but like around what is an Australian and like the genetic characteristics of what's required, and you hear the NSN types talking about good stock and all this kind of stuff. They're very obsessed with sort of that eugenics and ethnic clarity stuff. It gets messy if you take that stuff too far. And Sydney Sweeney going, "I've got good genes," is not an exclusive saying I'm the only one with good genes. She's just saying I won a bit of a jackpot. Look at me, I'm fit.
This is the American Eagle Instagram page. I mean, there's a lot of people on here of all different races and looks, colors, and I would argue that most of these people on here have good genes. And I mean, is it wrong to celebrate people that have good genes?
Well, it is, because remember, right? Like, it is wrong to celebrate people who have good genes. Apparently, remember it used to be I mean, it's a gift to have good genes, and it was unlucky to be hit with the bad gene stick.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's, I'm trying to be really politically correct here, right? Because there's plenty of other words you could use, okay? But, then all of a sudden we started calling people special and all this kind of stuff. And then
everyone started getting a participation award.
Yeah, and right, you know what I mean? So what happened? You're watering it down. Like, what happens to amazing people? Why do people want to be good anymore? Because it doesn't matter if you win or lose, you still get awarded the same pretty much anyway.
That's communism.
Oh, exactly right.
Well, this is the article put out by the ABC, right? And it says Sydney Sweeney and American Eagles advertisement controversy explained. And what it goes on to say is that the company saw a 10% surge in sales after the advertisement. So
amazing marketing.
I mean, it used to be sex sells. So I mean, I think overall it's probably a positive thing. I mean, it's smart on American Eagle. I don't know if they plan to do it this way. They plan to get this reaction, but I think it's worked in their favor, hasn't it?
Well, any press is good press, right? So what happens if you've got everyone talking about Sydney Sweeney and this gene advertised, and people start going, well, the people who aren't that invested go, oh, actually, I'd like a pair of those.
I've never even heard of American Eagle jeans.
Neither have I.
You know what?
Well, look, it's helped their share price. I mean, it's seen a jump. So, it hasn't jumped huge, but still, I mean, this is an indicator that I think people are looking at and go, well, this brand is going to sell well.
Do you think it would have had the same reaction if a Chinese American was doing that? Did the gene?
Well, you wouldn't have got the pushback from the cultural Marxists that want to tear down our system and will use any excuse to do so.
I bet you the spikes wouldn't have gone, the sales wouldn't have gone up through the roof either.
Well, look, Sydney Sweeney is one of the most attractive people out there. I would argue.
Well,
I mean, I don't.
Genes, right?
Yeah, well, but,
and don't humans look for good genes just instinctively still?
Well, it's that aesthetic appeal, right?
Yeah,
It's that symmetry and all those sorts of things.
Yeah.
Like it's actually biologically coded.
Yeah.
For perpetuation.
So it's
of the
within
species.
us.
But then you got Calvin Klein that have got like the fat models of color of sitting there in underwear,
and then what happens is the sales go down because no one needs to see that.
Yeah, that's right. Well, are we getting back to normality? It used to be normal to see attractive, sexy people on advertisements. As you said, they moved away from it. They started putting larger people on there, and a lot of people.
And larger people can't. It's not that they're not attractive. It's just that is that what people want to see? The majority want to see.
And it's not aspirational. It's easy. It's easy to get fat.
Well, it's easy. It's hard to stay trim.
Plus, it's unhealthy.
Well, yeah, that's right.
I mean, I've been thinking about this with AI because, I think with the next step with AI is that they'll start making AI movies. And I was thinking to myself the other day, do I really want to watch that? Because I've never thought about it this way, but when I watch a movie, it's like going to the theater. You almost go to the theater because you want to watch them perform.
I want to see Tom Cruise being Tom Cruise.
Yeah.
I don't want to see an AI
generated
running down a street and jumping.
But what I'm trying to say is like the performance, the acting that goes into it. Obviously, you have the Academy Awards, and a lot of people think that's a bit of a wank. But there's an element of that. You want to see good actors perform, and it's a part of humanity. You want to see humans achieve and strive towards something. So if you watch a movie, you acknowledge even subconsciously that those actors put in a hell of a performance to do that. And to watch an AI thing just created out of nothing, I don't think it will have the same effect. It'll be too perfect.
Where does it stop then? Okay, so what happens is we've got AI actors in Hollywood now.
Yeah.
Okay, so Hollywood make pure revenue because they don't have to pay anyone. Okay, and then you lose your stars, and then you think about some of the stars do some good things for the world, and they're pretty, like donate money and things like that, and whatever, and didn't do charities and stuff, right?
Yeah.
But then where does it stop? AI for movies, then all of a sudden it's AI for sport, and then you're going to have fake athletes running on fake fields, and then how do you follow the people? You're not actually seeing humanity, like you're saying, perform at their peak.
Yeah, that's right.
And I mean, I'm not a sports person as everyone here knows, but what happens is, but I do follow athletes at their best. So I've always loved motorcycle racing for Valentino Rossi.
Yeah,
because he was absolutely amazing. Okay, and then funnily enough, when he kind of retired, then I kind of fell out of it because I haven't seen anyone that really inspired me like that. But would a computer program or code inspire the human soul?
No, I mean F1 is not going to sell hundreds of thousands of tickets for 4-day passes to fields to see robots drive cars around. But
I think that they would get rid of it completely.
When you're invested in going, I want to see Oscar Piastri take down Lando Norris for the world drivers title. There's something there. Like, you're rooting for human achievement. You want humans to be able to work at their peak, and we aspire to that.
Yeah,
and it's inspirational. And but like things like communism, where it becomes lowest common denominator. Why bother putting the effort in if I'm going to get the same return as everyone else?
Yeah,
that's the same with all. Like, if there's no benefit to being the best, why even put the effort in? I'll just become a fat slob. It doesn't matter.
We've got some comments coming in. Tony says Bud Light need to hire Sydney Sweeney to recover their losses on the Ladyboy damage.
Whatever happened to that?
Dylan Mulvaney. Yeah.
Oh my God. How do you even remember that person's name?
I don't know, because we did a podcast on it. Katie says, for goodness sake, can't we just have something sexy and gorgeous to look at and dream about? Well, Katie's dreaming about Sydney Sweeney.
There we
go.
go.
To see Diet Coke jump back on the train and get the hunky topless blokes back out. Do you remember the Diet Coke ads? They always had topless blokes on them.
I don't know why you blokes are remembering those ads.
It's aspirational.
Yeah, good point. Yep.
You never watch an Arnie film, or you watch Rocky and get down there.
I watch Rocky.
And you knock out some push-ups when you're watching Rocky, like during the montage. I'm gonna get off.
My family knows if I watch Rocky, they know they won't see me in the morning because I'll be out running or something.
Yeah.
And I do it for about 2 or 3 weeks, and then I'm kind of like, I'm over it now.
Mark says Jaguar is in damage control because of DEI.
They've fired, I think, the people that were doing that campaign. I think.
Yeah, well, they fired the people at Bud Light as well. Apparently, they're just fresh out of uni, Anyway,
left wing.
That's what happens.
Marxist.
And Mark says they messed around and found out. So I mean, yeah. So I guess I think we're all in agreement. We'd like to see a little bit more of Sydney Sweeney and anyone that's.
I think the ladies would like to see sexy men on TV as well, right?
I think they like. I mean, I think Katie just showed they'd want to see sexy women.
Well,
as
I think that's what people want. I mean, people like to see people at their best.
Yeah.
Just do you like? Why do people have beautiful bits of art in their house? Why do they have people aspire? They like things that look beautiful and are aesthetically pleasing to the eye.
Yeah.
Yeah. Speaking of sex selling, I guess we'll move on to our next point.
What? Oh my God.
Adam, your former good mate, Mr. Mark Latham, has been in the headlines lately because of his sex scandal. Leaked tweets, abuse claims, an alleged sex tape in Parliament. I mean, let me ask you this, guys: if you were in Parliament, right, and you've got someone that's 25 years younger than you, and you're alone in your office, what are you going to do? Like, let's be honest about this.
Well, wait a minute. Is this another scandal hitting?
No, this is pretty old.
From the last few weeks,
last month or so.
All right, because I've missed this one.
Because it all started.
You didn't hear about the sex tape?
Mark Latham has a sex tape,
or supposedly,
allegedly,
in Parliament, in his office,
in his office.
Look, you know what? I'm gonna look. Okay, until it's broadcast or until it's proven in court, I'm not going to give it any kind of weight. Because Mark, I've got to be honest with you. Like him or hate him, he's only ever been a pretty stoic kind of character.
No, he's owning all this stuff. Have you seen his ex the last few weeks?
No.
He has been off the hook. He's been unchained, talking about his harem and how guys are all coming to him asking for secrets and that he can learn from the master. He's lapping it up.
But are you sure he's not being? He's being comical.
Well, no, yeah, but I think he's because
it's so ridiculous,
and because this is the thing where like one of his exes has leaked all these text messages between them or something. I haven't read in the circumstance of why she did it.
Yeah, well, so what if who doesn't sext their partner? And don't forget too.
Well, he was apparently doing it from the chamber.
So what? New pony to ride? You're gonna we're all men. We've all had new girlfriends and new partners and stuff like that in our lifetime. I mean, that's the best time of your life.
Women do it too.
That's the best time of your life, and it does take two to tango, right?
So this is him supposedly texting in the chamber. So
good.
And he said, well, what would you do if you're listening to Penny Sharp go on?
Yeah, well, that's the truth too. It's pretty boring inside there. And, I'm just going to say good on you, Mark. Right? We need red-blooded men still doing red-blooded men things out there, I think. And I'm not condoning any sort of
Tony
that allegedly happened.
Tony says, so what, get off Latham's back? And John the boy says, "Hey guys, sorry I'm late." So hello.
Hey, John the boy. But I just think this is. I think it's a hit piece because look at what's being.
Well,
going on.
Obviously you'd know this, Dave, being in the Liberal Party, right?
Well,
Whenever, yeah,
ex-Liberal
being
Party.
being ex-Liberal, I'm ex-Liberal. Whenever some of these scandals drop, my thoughts instantly go to who's leaked it and what's the benefit.
Yeah.
I mean, let's to set the table. I don't know where this has come from, but to set the table, in recent weeks, Latham, or recent months, Latham has been hitting Mins and Mins' staff about this Rose Hill race horse thing. That involves Peter V'landys. He's also gone out into the chamber and talked about Alex Greenwich and brought up sealed documents about Alex Greenwich. Of course, I mean, I'm not making any allegations. I'm just more purely putting it out there. I mean, this guy, Mark Latham, has made enemies in the past. He's made enemies with a lot of people.
He knows where the bodies are buried. I mean, Ruddick made a good point that he's been around for decades. He knows the ins and outs. He knows parliamentary procedure down to a T. Like, he's an absolute weapon.
Yeah.
And as much as he's ex-Labor, he actually leans more sort of conservative values. I think he was like, he must have been Labor right.
Oh, he was like, he was Labor right.
Sussex Street Labor, yeah, definitely.
So like, he's important to stay there, and a lot of this stuff is how do they, discredit him to reduce his influence and power, because he's a big voice, he knows what he's doing, and he hits hard.
And people listen to actually Mark Latham when he speaks. People do listen to him.
Yeah.
And I think I think Mark Latham has the trust of the people to know that he's not going to really BS them. And I got to come on, Stephen. We've spoken to the man. He doesn't BS you.
No,
he does not. He is a pretty it's sometimes. I mean, sometimes it is like a knife through butter. Like, if you have to have a bit of thick skin, I think when you're dealing with Mr. Latham, I've got to be honest with you. I think you have to have a bit of thick skin, right? Because he's going to call you out. You need to know what you're talking about. Okay. And if you don't know what you're talking about, he'll call you out on your BS.
Yeah. Well, this is my point. Obviously he gets into the chamber and he calls out people's BS. I mean, he does things that probably, you could argue that the thing about Alex Greenwich going into Parliament and talking about documents that were meant to be sealed and private, maybe he shouldn't have done that. There's plenty of things you could say that he shouldn't have done potentially, but that's how he rolls. But it does set up.
Ran back into the burning building and tried to save somebody. You know what I mean? Like maybe what happens is maybe he feels like he's. And this is purely just my opinion. I don't know. I have no idea, right? Maybe he feels like, hey, wait a minute. I've copped a raw deal here. I am a person who has a particular privilege being in Parliament, right? And why not expose the BS? This is who I'm up against. You got people talking bad about like Mark, and you got people accusing Mark of doing all these things, but then they're concealing and hiding documents of what the accuser or whatever is doing. And he's like, well, you know what? I can blow this open.
And I mean, look, you can't discount. You talk about the red-blooded male thing. He's obviously got some axe to grind with Alex, because Alex taking him to court over those comments. They might have been unnecessarily crude, but they weren't actually liable. They weren't anything that, because if he's a gay man, that's what gay men do.
Yes,
like it's biologically accurate, even if it's crude. And so then to be taken down for whatever, like, defamation or whatever, was just insane. And Alex seems to have undue power over that Parliament. The bills he gets up, the way he gets them up, he must have an archive of photos of people with goats or something, because he just seems to like have way too much control for an independent MP in the Parliament.
One voice. I'm one voice in a chamber of 15 and can get BS.
I can get my bills sort of put to the top of the pile
and approved, and then because he got all that
conversion therapy
and all that stuff. I mean, if any person in New South Wales and in the public knew what that bill actually meant, actually understood what it meant, okay, like you wouldn't vote for this, you wouldn't have these, you wouldn't support these people. But it's the Australian public. Don't take enough interest to read a freaking 30-page bill or something like that to actually find out what it actually is,
or watch videos from people like me that actually break it down and help you cover it out.
Dave, right now.
Well, let's break this one down. This is Latham, I guess you would say, hitting back in the Parliament.
And a second related notice, Mr. President, I give notice on the next sitting day. I'll move that this House calls for the resignation of the Parliamentary Secretary to the Deputy Premier, the Parliamentary Secretary for Education and Early Learning, and the Parliamentary Secretary for Western Sydney, Mr. Greg Warren, due to his collaboration with Jamie Clements, such that the member for Campbelltown arranged for Mr. Clements, at that time the New South Wales ALP General Secretary, to again visit his Parliament House office in early August 2015 in the presence of his staff member Stephanie Jones, even though 5 weeks earlier, on Thursday the 25th of June 2015, Mr. Clements had sexually assaulted Miss Jones in that same office, and Mr. Warren was aware of that assault. The House notes...
Now, you tell me this, Adam. I thought Mark Latham and Greg Warren were best friends.
I thought they were best mates too. As a matter of fact, I've had Greg Warren lean over to me and go, "Hey, your boss and me are best mates, right?"
Yeah.
Right. So it's kind of like, all right. And I'm kind of, when I saw this, I was shocked because I actually thought Greg Warren was actually a bit more stand up. I don't know. Again, allegedly, whatever was going on.
Yeah.
But I always thought Greg Warren was more of a stand-up bloke than that.
It's a scorched earth thing now where it's tit for tat almost.
Well, and Mark's all right, so they're napalm and he's nuclear.
Yeah,
so Mark will just go because obviously. But I want to know how they, my biggest thing was, how did Mark find out about this?
Well, it's been leaked. Obviously, again, it goes back to who's leaking it and what's the stand to gain from leaking it. I mean, these things don't just pop up out of nowhere. As you would know, again, Dave, they sit on these things for the opportune moment. I mean,
they've got dirt units.
Yeah,
like that's a thing that they assign staff to go dig up dirt and have this stuff ready.
Do you think it's like maybe Mark trying to get the member for Campbelltown dismissed so that he can take the seat back?
To go in the lower house
for Labor?
What? Oh, I don't know about. Look, I don't know why Mark did this. I mean, I guess it's just a square up.
Well, I got to be honest with you. I think Mark was probably just doing the right thing.
I think it's
if he found out about
it's probably more the case that I think he said there that Greg Warren's Chris Minns' friend, one of his best friends.
Well, I've heard complete opposite to that.
Oh, okay. All
That's
right,
why
then.
Greg Warren never got any ministries, and he's only the secretary.
Well, then I have no idea then.
Right, but I do know. But I've heard that obviously Mark and Greg, honorables, were best friends. And when I was watching that clip as well, I felt that that's the first time I've ever felt like Mark Latham was uncomfortable reading something. And there was 21 points.
Wow.
To that motion. And went for the full, it was like a 10-minute readout. And I'm kind of like, he looked physically uncomfortable doing that. So to me, I felt like maybe there is more than just, I don't believe that I don't think Mark would put out anything or say anything like that if it wasn't factually based.
Yeah. Look, there were a couple other clips I wanted to play with that, but we've got a caller waiting patiently in the background, and I know he's fired up because I've had to deal with him throughout the week. Mr. Richard Storch.
G'day, Richard.
You there, Richard?
Hello, gentlemen.
How you going, mate? We can hear you.
Can you?
We can't see you all that well, but maybe just
there you go.
Can we see
the camera?
Let's see your smiling face, mate.
So I thought a lot about our last discussion, Stephen.
Well, firstly, we're just talking about Mark Latham. Maybe let the audience know what
have you got any insights about what happened with Mark Latham and that big call out for resignations of the Honourable Greg Warren?
I don't really. I think Latham's just a very powerful individual who tends to want to hit out first before he gets hit. I think he's demonstrated that all his political life. He doesn't die wondering.
Yeah.
I think he's acquired a lot of powerful enemies, and they want to go for him all the time. You know,
all
he doesn't have many friends.
Tell us why you called in, because I know you have been fired up since last weekend. Just set the table for people that are listening at home. Why did you call in?
I called in because of what happened last weekend with the march and the participation of our representative in it. I've had a lot to say about it on Facebook, and I thought it was a very unwise thing to do. I thought that his reasons for doing it, John Ruddick, I'm talking about, were very venal and insubstantial. So that's what I called in about. I think the whole situation on the subject of the Middle East has become very overblown. And I paid a lot of attention to what you said, Stephen, that it was just unacceptable for the Israelis to be blowing the hell out of civilians. And I think that's the bottom line for most people. And it stops them from being objective because they've already made a subjective judgment about it. And I don't make subjective judgments. I remain objective because I'm an historian, and I also have an ability to see Israel's point of view, which most people don't. And I've had to accept that most people don't have any objectivity about this. They just have a judgment. And that's disappointing.
Well, look, John Ruddick has taken a lot of heat this week about walking on the bridge. I mean, he had that interview with Avi Yamini on Rebel News. I mean, Avi's been going very hard on John throughout the week. I can bring up his Instagram in a moment to show everyone. And there's also been cases where some libertarians have resigned from the party based on what John did, just walking, in a protest. Before we get into everything else, what is the feeling within the Libertarian Party at the moment? Are you seeing any examples of people resigning from the party?
I'm hearing about it. I'm not in a position to really know, and I don't think anyone is in a position to know just how much support we're going to lose from this. But what I've always known is that there is a very big contrast between the people that are pro-Arab and those that are pro-Israel. So there was already a division there, and it's just been opened up, and there was no need for it to be opened up, and that's what's very frustrating about it. It's like this was a fight we never needed to have.
But you see, I mean, this is a discussion I had with you through the week. I mean, John is the leader of the Libertarian Party. He's, whether he likes it or not, he can have his personal views, but he's meant to represent the views of the Libertarian Party. That's how I see it. That's his role as leader. But when you look at that, the Libertarians supposedly stand for, they're an anti-war party, they're pro-free speech, and they're also pro-peaceful assembly. When you look at those three policies, he hasn't stepped outside the bounds of those. So what is the problem with him marching on the bridge when you look at it through that prism?
It's twofold. The first thing is that if he wants to express himself as an individual, that's fine, but there's a conflict of interest with being a party leader. So that's the first thing. The second thing is that I've forgotten what I was going to say. The second thing is that he's entitled to have a view personally, but the Libertarian Party is it's trying to walk both sides of the street by being Switzerland of the Pacific and at the same time having a view on an armed conflict. There's a contradiction in terms. You either stay out of it or you get involved, but you can't do both. And that's really the problem, is that there's not hypocrisy, but there's a definite divergence or problem with messaging.
I mean, one of the arguments that was brought up was around freedom of speech, and whether you can march on the bridge is a freedom of speech issue. But surely, using the bridge specifically is not a freedom of speech issue. The bridge is not have your freedom of speech down at Hyde Park or anywhere else. It doesn't have to be on the bridge. You're not right.
Precisely. Well, if you look at the faces of the senior police who were responsible for that, They looked like men who'd dodged a bullet. All it would have taken was some sort of panic and a stampede, and thousands of people would have been injured and possibly killed. So it was grossly irresponsible, and the Premier was against it on the advice of the police, and the police were against it, and the police are the experts in crowd control. So I think it was grossly irresponsible on all sides to actually do the thing in the first place, and it was just a miracle that nothing happened. And the faces of the police looked like they looked so relieved, as well as panic-stricken and terrorized. And it's like they're not people that scare easily. I mean, a lot of people say they're neurotic about crowds, but I don't think that's the case. I think this could have easily gone very badly wrong.
Yeah, but any protest could, Richard. That's the nature of protest.
Yeah, but there are no exits on the bridge.
Yeah, so
it's a confined space.
Look, I think. Look, I've worked on the Sydney Harbour Bridge. I mean, I know it pretty intimately.
Yes,
I think you're overreacting just to prove a point. Honestly, I mean, look. Let me ask you this question. For people to go out and protest against this, so obviously Sky News and other outlets have been trying to paint all the protesters as terrorists, and the people were supporting the leader of Iran.
No,
and
most of them were just simple idiots. But
you can point out examples of, and I can find clips of. I mean, maybe we can hear from some of the people that were on the bridge, because Chris Coveries, as you know, always goes and films these things. But in terms of, I think a lot of people there were just, protesting because they want the killing to stop. On both sides. I mean, do you have a problem with that? Like, when you just look at it from a protesting standpoint, did you have a problem with people protesting and pushing back on some of the horrific killing that we're seeing, not just in Gaza, but across the world?
But they're not.
Well, I'm a little bit more objective than you are. I see it in very relative terms. And, I draw attention to the fact, again, that Israel has 300 thermonuclear warheads and is feeling very isolated, beleaguered and criticised, and that's dangerous. So I'm actually far more concerned about the future of humanity and 7 billion human beings rather than 1.5 million that refuse to live in peace. But that's just the way I see it. I mean, if you want to roll the dice on that one, you and everyone else are welcome to, but I don't see it as being a very good bet.
We're talking about John Ruddick. I think we should let John, I guess, I mean, he's not here, but this is what he had to say on the bridge at the time.
Aussie flag at the Stop the War protest. Are people willfully misinterpreting your position? And
our traditional supporters are probably confused and many are angry. But I think that if they knew the history of the conflict, October the 7th was not an isolated situation. Now, look, there's people around here saying the river to the sea. I don't believe in that. Israel has, been there for several generations now, so they're not going to go anywhere, and it's generally a successful, happy country. But we believe they've got to stick to the borders, and they shouldn't be expansionist. And they've basically become the superpower now of the Middle East, and they should be striving for peace and goodwill with its neighbours. So hopefully today can help play a role in bringing that about. The world's got a big future ahead of it.
So, Richard, we just heard from Ruddick there. I mean, is there anything that he said that you disagree with?
Totally. I disagree with him completely, and I've told him so to his face. He's got this idea that he's got this idea that Israel's trying to expand. And again, this comes from the subjective judgment that's made in the first place that Israel's wrong and doing the wrong thing. So going from there, it's very easy to accept the misrepresentations and the false narratives. And it's like Israel probably will occupy Gaza and put it under martial law for 10 years because it's got to neutralise a power vacuum that's hostile on its borders. And they did that with the West Bank, to some degree. But that's not expansion. That's just dealing with a reality that you can't avoid. And everyone's got this idea that they know what should be happening, but they don't actually have a concrete sort of suggestion that would actually deal with the situation, would actually deal with the problem.
One of the things I heard, I've been listening to a few different podcasts and stuff on this, and one that was really good was trigonometry, Constantin, and he had British Army officer, former Army officer, I don't know, maybe still current, Major Andrew Fox on, and he gave a really good balanced point of view on it, and he described he's been on the ground there in Gaza, and he talked about it, and he goes, look, Israel aren't necessarily perfect, and they made mistakes, and then maybe they should have pulled back in the here and there, but he also said, it's not a genocide. He explained why the buildings look like rubble, how the tunnels are working, the IEDs, the threat that the military there are under when they're in place. So it's a really good point of view on it. And so when you hear these words like genocide thrown around, like John's talking about, John was also on Damien Curry's Other Side show this week with David Adler. And there was a strong back and forth there. And the fact that John's talking about public sentiment is with him now. I'm like, since when did the principled libertarians just go with public sentiment? They've never gone public sentiment. They've gone by, here's our libertarian principle. So it's just weird messaging coming from him. I don't know what's driven this. Is it just the emotional heartstrings of thinking about dead babies?
I think that's what it is. I mean, I'll play a clip now because this is, as I mentioned, Chris De Bruin or Chris Coveries. He was on the bridge. I mean, he covers all the protests, and he speaks to a young lady about her views on why she was there. And I think, I mean, as you'll see in the clip, she couldn't even understand. She couldn't really explain why she was there, other than the fact that she doesn't like to see the killing.
Post October 7th, where the entire political dynamic has changed. The polls have changed. The reality of it has changed. I'm just going to check with a colleague here. Do you want to talk a little bit, walk and talk a little bit about what you understand? I didn't catch your name, by the way.
Hello, everyone. My name is Alicia. I am a Sydney sider, and I'm here to support Palestine.
Well, you came here to understand. You had one of the more nuanced takes. If we can walk and talk a little bit.
Yeah, but I think I am a bit embarrassed to be in front of the camera because I am lacking in knowledge in a lot of areas, and I would not want, I guess, people to be aware of like how much is going on in the world, and to not like to be supporting everyone and not know the significance of all of the history that's brought us to this point.
When you say you're supporting Palestine, a lot of people then say you're supporting Hamas. You're supporting what Hamas does. You're supporting Hamas policies.
Yeah.
And you see that how that ladder goes down. Would you say that you support all of Hamas's policies, or
no? Because I don't understand them. I don't know what their policies are. I don't prescribe to them. I don't read them. I just see the atrocities that are occurring, and I'm just like average civilian, and we just support what we see. And it's just media. We're just being brainwashed. Exactly. I'm just seeing all of this. I feel like, oh, this is terrible, and now I'm going to go to a protest because I feel like going to a protest is making an impact. But the reality of it, is it really? We're still protesting here after 1 year, and it's cost thousands of lives, tens of thousands, hundreds. I'm sorry, I don't know the exact number. And this is where we're at. And what is it all doing? It's I don't even know at this stage.
So, I mean, I
had no idea why she was there.
Well, I think, but I do.
She said it.
I do think this is a genuine representation of someone who doesn't. I mean, they can't articulate why they're at a protest, but they're reacting on emotion, and they're hearing about. You know, babies die, they're hearing about people get blown up, and they don't like it. They don't want to see it. That this woman is a far cry from a terrorist, and a lot of the protesters that were on the bridge are getting painted as terrorists. I think that's an overreaction. There's a lot of people out there that are seeing the conflict in Gaza, and I said, as I said before, in other areas of the world, and they want it to stop. That's the main issue, and I think that's what the problem that Israel is seeing, is that it's on this offensive against Hamas, but the problem is a lot of innocent people are getting caught up in the process, and Israel is trying to find some justification for that. And for a lot of people out there, they feel like there is no justification for babies getting blown up.
Yeah, exactly.
It's one of these tough situations where, from our safe Western context down here in Australia that hasn't seen a bomb since Darwin in the 40s or whatever, like we don't understand what it's like to live in a city that has rockets rained on a regular basis, and what that does is from a heightened sense of security and safety or lack thereof, and what happened on October 7 and so on, and what it's like when you're not actually fighting another army. This isn't traditional war and combat. This is, insurgency. Yeah. These are people dressed in plain clothes. This is like terrorist type operatives, and you never know what's actually truth from fiction. This is like the whole thing is just so far. I'm just trying to line and say, oh, well, this is how we do politics and things in Australia, and we should just project that, and that should just work over there. I think people get really confused with that, and so and so much of the media is just picking up the sort of the Gaza narrative and stuff. I think at the end of the day, my biggest concern around the whole bridge march is that there's Australians are out there concerned about stuff they don't fully understand, as we just heard. They don't really know the ins and outs of it. They've just got this emotional thing that something's bad, and maybe if I come along, that'll fix it. But what we saw was one of our most famous national icons covered in flags from another country, showing that it's ideologically been captured. That gives Hamas more ammunition to go, look, we've got popular support. We can continue to terrorize and do what we like because the world is with us. Israel's losing the PR battle, so we don't need to compromise. We don't need to give back hostages or come to peace because the world backs us to do what we like. So there's that side of it too.
Well, what's a proportional response? So, I mean, I think this is one of the big issues. And if you follow people like Piers Morgan, who was pro-Israel in the beginning, now he's gone the other side because he's looking at it and going, well, obviously October 7th was a horrific event. Mm-hmm. Again, innocent people were slaughtered in that process. But when Netanyahu first came out, he said, we're going after Hamas, not after innocent people. And there's figures out there. I don't know what the figures are. Some people are saying 100,000 people. It could be 5,000 people. Whatever it is.
In a perfect world, Stephen, in a perfect world, that'd be nice. But the problem is that Hamas use civilians as a shield. So that's rather imperfect. And what Dave said sort of illustrates my point. It's like no one's interested in Israel's point of view.
How can you have shields against bombs?
You use civilians.
Everyone gets blown up.
And rejoice in a civilian body count because it makes your enemy look bad.
But they've had decades and millions and millions of dollars to build hospitals, infrastructure, energy, water, everything. But what do? They build hundreds of kilometers of tunnels, and then the Hamas have screwed over the Gazan people. Yeah, and now they're making Israel look bad for it because I don't think anyone on here is.
No one's interested. I mean, that's my point, Dave. Is that no one's actually curious about Israel's point of view, the reality that they're dealing with, because most people have already made a subjective judgment that Israel's in the wrong because of what they're doing or the way they're doing it.
Okay, well, answer me this, Richard. Where does it? How far does this go? I mean, what is a proportional response? How many people?
There isn't a proportional response because they can't stop now, and Netanyahu is not in the mood to stop or moderate or anything, and no one's trying to convince him because no one's interested in Israel's point of view. So what we've got is a polarization and an extremism that's being introduced bit by bit into the whole situation, and it's becoming more and more dangerous and more volatile because no one knows where this ends up.
Well, the way that I look at this is, I mean, obviously people are pushing for the two-state solution. I mean, I don't see any other.
That'll never happen. Not for another 20 years at least. Until there's some sort of resolution to this ongoing conflict. That's not even a possibility because Israel's not going to give up security in exchange for promises. It's just not going to happen.
So what happens? I mean, you can't just get rid of, the Palestinians or, whoever is living in Gaza. I mean, people say, they're not Palestinians, they're Arabs.
This is what I've been saying to you,
whoever they are, people that are living there.
This is what I've been saying to you. You have to understand their mentality. They're soldiers. They will resist until the end. They'll fight until the last man.
I mean, when this first happened, When Hamas first attacked, I had that feeling in the pit of my stomach. I knew exactly what was going to happen. Israel's got an advanced military, and you don't mess with Israel because Israel can hit back against you, and they can hit against you hard. So the international community, in my view, should have reacted to this and said, look, Israel, we know that you want to defend your borders, and we know that you want to retaliate, but the fact is it's going to cause way too much death. And the international community should have gone into Gaza as a peacekeeping force and got the situation under control, just like John Howard and Australia did in East Timor. I know it's a completely different situation with a completely different history, but there should have been an international response. It shouldn't have been left up to Israel to do this, because, as you said, Israel's on the path now of ending this, and the only way of ending this is who knows what. I mean, what happens to the people living in Gaza now with Israel bearing down on them?
No one knows. It's unpredictable. It's completely unpredictable. And yeah, I mean, that's why the United Nations was set up, so that there would be interventions in small wars, and you know, the effects of them would be mitigated. But there isn't any enthusiasm for that. The UN would rather pursue wokeism and lecture everyone about how they should be living.
And UN organizations like UNRWA have been, just passing funding to Hamas. That's documented.
The UN's. What's the UN?
Peacekeepers. I mean, there's kind of fighting against insurgencies. I saw a great movie. It was a Brad Pitt one. I can't remember what it was called, where they were in Afghanistan or something. And the line came up as like, you've got 7 insurgents and you shoot one. How many insurgents do you have?
Well, you probably have more now,
right? Because the brother, the cousin, the nephew, they all.
Well, this is the other issue as well. I mean, Hamas is only gaining support because imagine you living in Gaza, right? You're born there. You don't have a choice where you're born. You're living there. You have a small family, and suddenly there's bombs flying above you, and you're trying to protect your little kids. And it gets to the point where you're having to dig your child out of rubble, and you're pulling up their limbs because they've been blown to shreds. These poor people, the innocent people, they're not part of Hamas. They probably don't even support Hamas, and they're in the firing line of all of this. I mean, this has to stop.
Why don't they send in ground forces instead of just raining bombs on them?
They haven't.
Mostly because of the nature of the war. Hamas usually use IUDs and booby traps and stuff like that. Yeah. And if you think about it from the point of view of an Israeli military commander, and he's got a choice between sending in his troops and putting them in harm's way, or sending in a drone and blowing up the house, what do you think he's going to choose?
Oh, I understand that.
Yeah, and in that interview with Andrew Fox, the trigonometry did, he talked about that. He said when they went in, that the IEDs were blowing up. They'd have remote cameras. They wait for the IDF to go in there, and then they trigger them to take out maximum casualties. So then they started sending dogs, and they started using drones to work it out. And eventually they got to the point, you know what? When we go in there, they're going to blow up the tunnels, and then they're going to collapse the house anyway. We're just going to take the house out.
Do it.
And so that's why these houses look like rubble, because whether the IDF went in on ground or whether they don't, their houses were going to get leveled, because that's what Hamas have pre-planned and configured, and it becomes inevitable.
There's another issue here, and this is a comment from John the Boy. John the Boy says, John Ruddick should lead a march against mass immigration, and then everyone will forgive him. Now, obviously, I mean, some of the reasons why we're dealing with protests on the bridge is because we have had
agent problems.
Well, we've imported problems from other parts of the world, and we've imported people from problems. Yeah, exactly. So do we need to have a discussion about immigration?
I don't think Australia or Australians is equipped to deal with issues like this, because not many of us actually understand ancient conflict. We'll never, you know what I mean? And you can't believe what you taught really about it in school. You have to do the research yourself. No one's going to do the research. I don't talk about this particular topic because I really don't know much about it. I don't know enough about it, either side of it. That's why I never talked about Russia and Ukraine that often. You see me go quiet because I have no authority to speak on this matter. Okay. Yes, I don't want to see people die. I don't care if I don't want to see Israelis die. I don't want to see the Palestinian people die.
Yeah.
I don't really want to see anyone die. So I'm in that category of we need to stop the war somehow. Okay. But on Richard's point, I don't understand the ancient conflict. Okay, so I don't get that. So what happens is, hey, I stay out of it. So what happened? But I don't believe, and get back to this point, so bring it back to Australia, right? I don't think we should be importing, okay, or really participating in any of these kind of events anyway, okay? So yes, we do have the right to march. We do have the right for freedom of speech. We should be able to do things like that. Okay, fine, right? But again, same thing on an iconic, see, for me, right, and one of you boys made the right point, okay, to do it on our most iconic structure, okay, I think it was you, right, and then it's covered in Palestinian flags. Dave, sorry, right, okay, I think that's wrong, and I don't think that should have been. I don't think we should have used our iconic building, and everyone knows that the Harbour Bridge is Australian. Okay, we've marketed it globally for however long. Okay, it shouldn't be. We shouldn't be involved in this. Okay, so people should, march in a street and say, we're pro-Palestine or whatever, or pro-Israel, whoever you want to be pro for. Okay, but I don't think Australia should be in. I don't think we should. I think we've imported too many of those people to cause this problem, and B, I don't think we should be actually getting involved in ancient conflicts, because I don't think Australia, and I don't think our parliamentary team and our parliamentary leaders are equipped to deal with this issue either.
What do you think it would take for Australians, and how many Australians, and obviously there's a lot of people there that, some people would question how Australian they are, but then there were obviously people that, just the bleeding heart.
Just went in.
In the comments there.
I don't think it's about bleeding heart. So what's a proportional response? I mean, what end can Israel go to?
What is marching on the bridge achieving there, other than just emboldening Hamas?
Well, I think it's
not actually.
I think as you can see from this girl that we showed there, obviously there's people with their own agendas on there. We know that, but I think a lot of people out there are just having that emotional response because how
do we get Australians emotional about Australian issues?
Well,
that's
the media.
That's great,
Dave. What marching on the bridge did was it made a direct link to what happened on October 9th at the Opera House. And Australia is now sort of further entrenched overseas perceptions that we are a racist and anti-Semitic country. Because that's all that most people
I think people are smarter than that. I mean, there's protests happening in every country for every issue.
I think most people are shallow.
Well, we can't worry about that.
I think most people don't even know that this is going on.
Yeah, probably not.
I got to be honest with you. We're in a political bubble. We always have been.
And to be fair, I saw someone in the comments talk about Sydney siders think everything revolves around Sydney, and if that's true, we have a bit of a focus on the events in our city. And coming from Perth people always have that chip on the shoulder about the whole eastern states and everything revolving around them. So I get it. This is big news here because it's happened in Sydney and. Is it big around the rest of the country? Maybe not.
Is it big around the? Was it even reported on around the world?
I was. I think
yes, definitely. It's very picturesque.
That's what I'm saying. It emboldens Hamas. This does nothing for the conflict except embolden Hamas to not compromise, to keep pushing their narrative, and to try and.
You know what? It emboldens Hamas to come here because they know they've brought a couple of 100,000 people who will probably sign up. And so again, we're importing our problems, and I think it should have been stopped. It shouldn't have been done. Not because they're not allowed to speak freely and protest,
but because
it's the wrong venue to do it at, and it's going to get global notoriety.
Exactly. You've just said it. The Harbour Bridge is a global icon. So yes, it did make a difference. It was noticed. It was seen.
John the Boy says, "Was World War II a proportional response?" I think that's a podcast on its own. And,
yes. Definitely. It was a fight to win at all costs.
A lot of people say Hiroshima, taking out the 100,000, 80,000 people or whatever, saved millions by just stopping the war from.
What about carpet bombing cities like Würzburg and Nuremberg and Dresden in April 1945 when there was no military advantage at all of doing so, and then melting families into the asphalt by firebombing them? Was that a proportion?
Well, that was revenge, David.
Yeah, okay.
That was just revenge.
What was that, Richard?
Bomber Harris. That was just revenge. That was Bomber Harris.
Well, I mean, I just feel like as a species, we need to move past this. Obviously, there's, groups like Hamas out there make it very, very difficult. But I mean, it's the same thing with Ukraine and Russia. I mean, surely there's some way of getting past this. And I've got a clip of Donald Trump ending the war in Azerbaijan and Armenia. I mean, that's been going on for a decade or more. I mean, it's a huge effort. I mean, we need to somehow get to peace in whichever way that we can, don't you think?
Yeah, well, if once someone gets exhausted from fighting, they're much more receptive to peace. Look at the IRA and Ireland, and look at Yugoslavia and Bosnia and Croatia and stuff. They fought themselves to exhaustion. But unfortunately, the Arabs aren't smart enough to realise that they're exhausted, so they want to keep fighting.
They don't get tired.
All right. Well, on that note, mate, we'll let you go. We've got plenty of other topics to cover. And I'm just reading some comments from John the Boy.
I mean, can't we just
come on, we aren't a species, we are a people. We are the top of the chain and separate to the animal kingdom. Well, I agree with that. We are.
Yeah, but only for a few hundred years, not for long though. Like I know.
But it's all about it. We want to evolve. We want to evolve past it.
And
we should have learned our lessons from World War II.
Well, what I was going to say is that surely to goodness these days, conflict should be solved on paper, not through bloodshed.
What's the quote? The only thing that you can learn from history is that people don't learn anything from history.
Yeah, right.
That's probably good. All right, Richard. Thanks for calling in. I hope you ventilated it all out and you feel a little bit better.
Go have a glass of red for me.
Not quite. We've still got Tuesday night.
I want to be a fly on the wall when you have that discussion with Ruddick, but we'll talk to you soon, mate.
I'll have to wait longer than that.
See you, mate.
See you, mate.
All right. Well, speaking of, I mean, it's a big hill to come down from talking about the conflict in Gaza. I mean, we do have some funny clips to talk about as well.
People know. I just don't think people know enough about it. There is okay, you might have some relatives in Gaza. It's possible that you've come from there to here, and you might have a direct insight of what's going on. Okay, but can any one of us really say, okay, is that apart from what you've read, or you might be really researched on it, right? Is that how do you know even the research is the truth that you've read?
What's the bias?
We're not really. I don't think anyone apart from a very select few people.
I think the best way to do it is to listen to first-hand accounts. I mean, historians always try to glorify war. You watch those YouTube shows where they show the movements across the battlefield and Stalingrad and the Germans getting surrounded by the Russians, and they glorify it. But when you actually go on the ground of what Stalingrad was like, and people were eating each other, and I mean, it was horrendous what people had to go through. And these are just families. I mean, that's the reality of war. And I think that's what people have to get down to. I mean, you can watch footage of people getting blown up in Gaza, and it's not glamorous at all.
One of the issues with Gaza, and I've seen some of the clips that guys like Stephen Crowder have shown, where they show what the education system is like in Gaza, and they just teach them to hate Israelis. Like their entire indoctrination from young children onward is to teach them to hate Israel. They teach that there's nothing good about Israel. Israel hate them. Israel will.
I worked with a Palestinian guy, and he said to me, for centuries we lived together.
Peace.
But in peace,
up until
he said, we have no problems with the Jews. We have no problems with the Christians. Our problem is with the Zionists. And that's where the issue is.
This is the thing. So I've spoken to people as well about that and the Zionists and all that stuff. This now starts to get right out of my league because I don't get that, because the Zionist is now is ideological.
Yeah, political and ideological.
Right. Okay, so what happens is, can we see that once ideology gets involved, everything goes to hell?
It's a story of humanity, mate.
Right.
It's a story of humanity.
But people use the ideology against people. So ideology itself can be good, but then when it's weaponized,
of course,
that's where it becomes bad.
But someone out there that is pushing for peace is Donald Trump. And as I said before, he has ended this conflict in Azerbaijan. So he had the leaders of both countries, Azerbaijan and Armenia, at I guess that's the White House. Let's see what was said.
Can I have a suggestion?
Yes.
So maybe we agree with Prime Minister Pashinyan to send a joint appeal to Nobel Committee to award President Trump with the Nobel Peace Prize, because
How do you guys feel about that? Do you think Donald Trump is a worthy candidate for.
So how long has the war been going between those two nations?
Like over a decade at least, I think.
Over 10 years?
Yeah,
and then
probably
he's
more.
brought it to an end?
Yeah.
It's pretty peaceful to me.
I think that's almost like the definition of who should get the Nobel.
Because who gets the Nobel Peace Prize normally? Like some
Obama got it in his first week or
and
something.
Didn't he start wars? Well, he
well, it was after the fact.
You know, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah. No, I think he doesn't get enough recognition. He says that I stopped this and nobody thanks me, but that's okay. That's okay. We got it done.
Yeah. That's right. Yeah.
And look what he like. This one he didn't even need to use his bunker busters, but the Iran one, like he just in there. People go, oh, this is going to escalate. It's going to get crazy. He's like, no, we got the job done.
That's the one where he flew the plane in 24 hours or whatever it was, and just went bang, 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 and done.
Yeah, the nuclear program.
And everyone's like, whoa.
Okay, we stop bombing Israel now.
Yeah.
All right. Well, speaking of another war, this was a war that was fought on Australian soil at the Cumberland City Council, and this is a war.
I mean, this is such a Western world issue.
Have you seen this, Dave?
No.
You're going to love this. All right,
could you just shut up and let me speak?
Let's play this.
I do believe. Can you just shut up when I'm talking?
I beg your pardon, Councillor.
When I'm talking, this is my time, not your time. When I talk, you shut up, okay? Why she's talking while I'm talking? Why she's taking from my time? You just keep your mouth shut when I'm talking. I never, ever spoke when you were talking or having a time.
Councillor.
You show respect. You show respect. You raising your voice is not going to intimidate me.
Councillor.
I'm not intimidated. Not 100
Councillor.
of you.
Councillor, I've got it.
Then show respect so that you can be respected. When I'm talking, stay shut.
I'm going to move an adjournment for 15 minutes.
Yes.
I was going to say the mayor should have put an adjournment on a bit quicker than that, not let that go like that.
I had the same response you did. It sounded like Guido had.
You would have some respect, or I'll snap kick you in the head, lady. But if you throw the snap kick in there, that don't. Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah. Hey, Cumberland Council always delivers, right? Like they're
But
pretty.
you know what else it sounded?
No, I'm Campbelltown. I'm Campbelltown.
He sounded like Guido Hatz's. She sounded like your neighbor's having a domestic next door.
Yeah.
She's screaming at the kids. And she's screaming at like that's what I mean. How ridiculous are these people?
I just think that disrespecting each other in especially in such a formal setting such as council chambers. Council chambers in Australia it's a sacred. It's kind of like a sacred place. Okay, it's sanctified. You got to go in there and you have to wear a tie. You should be dressed up. You're not going in there in flip flops and a singlet, right? Okay, and I think disrespect was done on both sides. Yes, the man's going to cop, the male councillor is going to cop hell for saying just shut up to a woman, okay, and things like that. And you shouldn't probably use that language. You shouldn't use that language, and you shouldn't be speaking to other representatives like that. But then there's two sides, I guess, to the story. Why did he have to react like that? What might have been being said or across, and what was being thrown out at him from across the chamber there? Okay, so I think both were in the wrong. I think the mayor should have stopped that a lot quicker than they did. And then this is the controversy that comes from probably ineffective chamber management.
Yeah, but look, I think this goes back to the Sydney Sweeney thing before about, you want to celebrate people with good genes. You want to celebrate people that, there are, high caliber people. And unfortunately, I think the state of our politics at the moment, it's all based on quotas. I mean, we're putting people in parliament just because they're a woman. We're putting people in parliament just because they're part of a certain race or whatever it might be. We're not putting people in parliament because they're high caliber people. They're put in there based on merit. I mean, we're getting
caliber people actually don't act.
There's
people running at 100% of their knowledge. Like they are.
There's plenty of women out there that are highly capable and that can fill this role. But the fact is, we're getting people in there that are bloody middle-aged and crazy. I mean, they're batshit crazy. Look, this woman's off. She's unhinged.
Yeah,
and she doesn't belong in there.
Well, I think look. You know what? I mean, I'm elected. You know what I mean? Like, so let's talk about, like, I try my very, very best. Okay. And I think the general council people do try their very best, but we are pushed to our limits. I think with what we can read and what we can do and how we can comprehend the things that we have to comprehend.
You've got a day job as well, right?
And a full day, I got a day job and a night job.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
mate of mine in my electorate, I helped get him on council as well. And it's just late nights, late meetings, multiple nights of the week, the amount of papers and things you got to read.
Yeah, have you got the stack of stuff you have to read?
So business paper books are at least that big.
And he's a police prosecutor during the day, so he's in court all the time.
But the police prosecutor, I mean, like, he's right on that. I mean, he's right into it then, because he should be able to comprehend the paperwork quite easy.
Still crazy amounts of
it's a lot of work.
It is.
It is.
Right. Well, do you think? Well, I guess to end that one, do you think she needs to resign, or does he need to resign?
Oh, I think
who's in the wrong there?
I think. As I said, I think both are in the wrong.
But okay, if she's speaking over him when he's speaking, then what did he do wrong?
Then the mayor's wrong. So the mayor should stop. Like I said, I was going to use the word shut up, right? We should shut it down.
Yeah.
Okay. So if the mayor, you got the mayor and the CEO, they're sitting up on the center there, and they're overlooking the chamber. Okay, and then you can hear, because we get etiquette training, I guess, through the years on council, right? Okay, and you've got a member, a person is speaking. He has his 2 to 5 minutes or whatever they've allowed time for him to speak. Okay, if you had that other person on the other side throwing comments across him while he's speaking, then the mayor should have stopped that person from doing that. But then I would like to see, who was the mayor? Are they a Labor person or a Liberal person or whoever the mayor is? Okay. And is that person who stood up saying, you can't tell me to shut up and all that kind of stuff, was that part of his or her chamber? Were they in the same party? Because then there's party politics involved, which is I'm completely against, right? Because what happens is the mayor could let that person and those people talk and laugh and carry on and make fun of and disrupt this other person who's talking. And then if that person gets up and says, hey, because she wasn't telling, the mayor wasn't actually telling the other person who stood up.
Just saying to shut up in chambers. It's like, it just seems that like breaks rule like conventions of decorum.
Oh no, yeah. So he was in the wrong too. I'm not just.
What should he have said?
He should have done a point of order. He should have said, point of order, Councillor Ramirez or whoever it is, right, is speaking over the top of me, you know.
Is it like Parliament where you talk to the Speaker or talk to the Mayor versus talking to each other?
Through the Mayor. So it's basically through the Mayor, you know, talking.
Your Honour, I would like to
through the Mayor, you know, point of order. Well, actually, the point of order is yell out point of order.
Yeah.
So point of order, and then the Mayor would stop the proceedings and go, what was the point of order? And the point of order is as well, councillor over there is speaking to me, speaking over the top of me. I want to get my point across. They're finding it distracting. What can I, you know, what do we do? Right. So then he'd go, okay, you sit back down and you speak. And then the mayor would address that person saying, right, well, you need to be quiet now. Please retract any comments that you've said or whatever. And then,
well, see, that's the context we haven't seen. And when we're showing a very short clip, maybe he was doing that. You know, maybe he did that repeatedly up until this point. I don't know. I mean, I haven't watched the full clip.
Yeah.
I mean, we probably should put it into context.
Still hilarious.
Yeah.
Yeah. I still laugh. I've watched it about 10 times.
Cumberland Council is never won.
She loves Guido. Loves Guido.
I need to go back and listen to some old
He's
Guido.
got a radio show now, and he's like,
is he still around?
Yeah, and he's got like he's just doing normal talkback radio on something, but he has pre-recorded bits of Guido dialing in about issues and like, oh really? So he's just responding to a pre-recording of himself doing Guido.
I used to get Guido soundboards, and the good one was the Arnold Schwarzenegger soundboard. You could call me. Actually, I saw one the other day. There's this new thing now where they they get two phones right side by side, and they call a Chinese restaurant, and they place an order. And they say, oh, can you read it back to me? And then they call an Indian restaurant.
Oh.
And they have them talking to each other. It's so funny.
Look at that with the two chat GPTs. I saw one where it's like chat GPT say, thanks for that, have a great day. You thank you for that. You also have a great day. And it's like this back and forth, they're just constantly saying it to each other.
Oh, it's so funny. Anyway, let's play another clip. I mean, we talked about the council. This is the federal parliament now.
Federal parliament.
And I mean, it gets quite heated in federal politics as well. Yeah.
But I can tell you, do not ever demean anybody. Senator Jacinta Nampijinpa Price. Her mother's story, best Price. I suggest you all read it. A woman walking through the desert was her mother, who had her baby between her legs under a tree. She picked up that baby, she cut the umbilical cord, and she kept walking. I suggest you read the story of Best Price before you ever come in here and cast aspersions or tell us, Senator Wong, to respect other words. I will stand by and respect Senator Jacinta Nampijinpa Price, who every day has lived and breathed reconciliation in this country. Her father is white, her mother is black. So please, don't ever come into this place again and pontificate to us like you've just done.
I think I don't fault anything that she said. I did pick up a little bit of maybe overacting there a little bit, but I mean, when you look at her and then you look at the drowned sewer rat, I mean, who are you going to choose as the leader?
The drowned sewer rat being anyone?
As in Susan Lake. But she never brushes her hair.
Yeah,
like, why can't she brush her hair?
But Cash is in the Senate, and they don't.
Yeah, but they can put her in a safe seat somewhere.
Give it to Andy
if there's any left.
If anyone.
Yeah, or Jacinta.
Cash drives me nuts. Like just her accent. It's not like, what is her accent?
That's what I mean. There was something like
she always talks as this weird, it's Australian, but it's not like it's this hybrid. I don't know. Like the way she talks does me.
Was it that Kimmy and look at me, look at me, look at me?
I don't know. Yeah,
it reminds me of Kim.
She's WA senator, right? So she's from Perth. Like I'm from Perth, and I've never heard anyone else talk like that.
Look, you know what? I think as a politician, okay, I think she did overact because you got to jump on a point and go for it. But what happens is that's so she can at least say that her time in Parliament she did something. Here's
a question for you guys though: is the problem with the Liberal Party and the broader coalition the fact that their best performers are in the Senate and not the House of Reps?
Oh, I just think that politicians are really struggling.
I think the problem is that they just don't stand for anything anymore.
Yeah,
they don't believe in the.
Well, she just did,
but because there's something to jump on. It's a point to jump on. Wait a minute, I can defend.
You disrespected.
Yeah, I can show. I know the story because I've read the book. Okay, now what happens is I'm informed and I'm going to jump on this because I'm not going to say anything for the rest of the year, but I can jump on this one and make my point.
She's as Senate leader. I hope she says a little bit more through.
Well, let's see how she goes.
But yeah, I mean the issue with them is the ones that still actually recognize and understand some of the we believe statements, that believe in the sort of the smaller government and so on. They are primarily in the Senate, whether that's Antic, Canavan, Price. She's voted against some of the free, like she's voted for, some of the censorship stuff. So, like some of them are still playing the party line. Even like, so you go, but the ones that are closest to having those firm beliefs seem to mostly be in the Senate, or that's where you hear about them. Because if they're in the lower house, they're in the back bench. They don't get any media time. They don't get any press attention. They're just sitting there in the back, taking.
Well, tell me this, Dave. I'm hearing a lot of people outside the coalition. I'm hearing a lot of people inside the coalition. I've had calls from people in the Liberal Party. They want the National Party to break away from the Liberals.
I was hoping they would
and they want them to start running in Sydney seats.
When they had that whole issue and they weren't going to come together and stuff, and I thought Little Proud was actually going to take a stand for some things when he won the fight against Canavan. Yeah. And then I was like, oh, yep, we're actually broken apart. We're not a coalition right now. Yeah. And then days later, I was like, we're all back together. I'm like, no.
So would you vote for the National Party if they were running in Western Sydney?
Depends what they're standing for, what their policy platform is. If it's all, renewables and other crap like that, then that's the same issue. But if they've taken a stand against net zero, against mass migration, and they're actually fighting for Australia for Australians, not Australia for the next generation of people that have never even been here or set a foot here, then that would be a good start.
I think the Nationals have less career politicians in their ranks.
Well, Mark says, where was that passion over the past 5 years firing following the COVID scam.
Yeah, but there's
a whole host of issues here. I mean, you mentioned immigration. You can talk about government spending.
They were all on the line for that. Everyone made money out of COVID except the people of Australia.
Even on The Voice, like Cash and the Liberals only came to the party very late after the Nationals and made a stand.
John the Boy says Nationals should join One Nation. That's the worst thing you've ever said, John. Honestly, that's horrible. Maybe the other way around. Maybe One Nation need to merge with
One Nation are on a tear at the moment, though. Aren't they? Like
One Nation are almost in line with
they're stacking new parliamentarians left, right, and centre.
Yeah, well, that for how long though?
Well, until they all get defect.
Until they all fall in there.
I don't know. You might see a different story inside the Senate, though.
What's that?
They might see a different story inside the Senate.
Where they've all got FaceTime with Paul hanging out together.
Well, the thing is too, right? Like the Senate, that they can get things done in the Senate a bit more. Like, it's not always a slap in the face. It's not always a loss. You
mean One Nation?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you can see. I mean, Malcolm Roberts is the best example of that. Yeah. I mean, him just on parliamentary committees does tremendous work.
That's what I'm saying. So what happens is
he's making up for the fact that Pauline doesn't go to any of them. Apparently.
Yeah, well, that's right. But she doesn't need to with Malcolm there.
But you're not the losing. Well, I've seen some footage of her at some Senate estimates and things like that. I don't know.
One.
Yeah.
Well, I've seen some. I
think Rennick was saying it's pretty few and far between.
Yeah, well,
in these things.
Yeah, but Rennick's piling on One.
Well, he could be a bit as well. But what I'm saying is, you got it's a better game to play. You got four in One Nation in the Senate now.
Yeah.
Okay, that's a small block of power. Sometimes it will come down to them. They might be able to start getting things done.
Hey, I reckon the 4 One Nation senators, Ralph Babette, Antic, Canavan, you can even have, or Jacinta, you can even have Michaelia Cash in there if you really wanted to. I probably wouldn't, but there's good senators in there. I mean, that could form a block. Well, if you want to start a new party, start it in the Senate.
Well, not even about. It's always starting a new party with you. But what happens is what about taking the victories, right?
Well, who's going to beat Labor, mate? You want Albanese as Prime Minister?
But you can block, if you can win enough numbers, right, on certain motions, you're not going to win on everything.
But they don't have the numbers.
Yeah,
all with Albanese needs is the Greens.
Yeah, well, I think
there's bloody 12 Green senators in there.
Yeah,
that's insane.
It's insane.
Just insane. Does my head in. At least we got rid of Bant in the lower house.
Yeah, thank God. We'll forget about him pretty quick.
Well, who's Bant?
Adam
who? Adam who?
I don't remember him because you got my name.
Now you got Larissa Waters.
All right, Dave. Now you didn't see the Cumberland City Council clip.
No.
Hopefully you did see this.
I
clip.
love this.
I've seen a bit of this one.
You've seen a bit of this one?
Great.
Let's play this one.
Aussie as you get.
Electrification and battery electric vehicles in your mining operations, then?
Well, we have coal because we've got the biggest coal deposits in the world, but we're not allowed to burn the stuff. So the world's rooted, really. It's all right to be idealistic, but you also have to be realistic. And until the lights go out, the idiots that want to be green on everything and not do mining, not do coal, not do anything, they're going to have to go back and use candles and live in tents. And then they'll no, you might laugh, but it's true. You understand what I'm talking about? I'm not talking bullshit. I'm talking reality. If we don't get realistic, we're it's as simple as that. We're not allowed to use uranium. We've got the biggest uranium deposits in the world in Australia. We're not allowed to mine the stuff. So it's all so when half these die, well, the world will be a better place. And then those of us that survive will get it going again.
Wait, doesn't even, no.
My next door neighbour, I was talking to him. He's a lawyer, so he's not an idiot. Well, he is, but that's another problem. But he said, "Oh, that's right. You just put plugs along the highways." I said, "But if you haven't got a source from a power station, plugs on the highways aren't going to do." Right? You understand me? The people don't understand. They think the electricity comes out of space. But if you haven't got a charging system, which is a steam coal burning power station, how the can you charge your batteries? Do you understand that?
Yeah, I understand.
Well, there's a lot of the don't, and that's.
The guy's face, man, he's just like, man, that or something.
We're just talking about Guido Hatzis in the council. Maybe we need to put this guy in federal
a few more C-bombs.
I mean, would it be? I mean, we're talking about parliamentary procedure, but maybe the parliament needs a bit of a shake-up. Maybe
This is the problem with political career. What do you call it? Career politicians. They do think that you just plug the the charger into the wall and charge your phone. They don't. I'm not saying they're stupid, but what I'm saying is they understand that electricity is made. But how common is it for people to just go, just plug it in?
The other issue is if these career politicians that have been on good salaries with supports for a long time, when you're on good money for a long time, you forget what it's like to not have money at all.
Exactly.
And to be on low incomes and things.
Yes.
So it really does separate and distance you from things. And so I think that's one of the issues. It's hard to imagine what life's like if you've been up here for so long. You don't imagine what it's like to not be able to pay your power bill on time or get to the supermarket and go, do I grab that one or that one? And really have to analyze the per liter or per kilogram things to make sure you're getting the best deal and go, not this week, maybe next week we'll get the chocolate or whatever. They've never had to make those decisions.
Or parents going without food because they just want to make sure their kids are fed.
Yeah.
That's happening.
It happens
Going
right
on
now. It happens right now.
Yeah. And we've got a comment here from John the Boy. Is it an ABG policy for no parties in the Senate? Yes, you're very right, John. It is ABG policy that the Senate should all be independents. They shouldn't.
Councils, by the way.
Councils as well. Yeah, we agree.
I agree with that.
We should. There's no reason to have political parties in the Senate. There's no reason to have political parties in council.
Well,
in our view as well.
I can speak.
I was more just making the point. Okay, well, if you, we can't rely on the parties that are there now. I know you're saying that I'm focusing too much on a new party, but what's the alternative? And all I'm saying is if it's got to start somewhere, maybe it needs to start in the Senate, and then you would ultimately move towards abolishing political parties in the Senate.
It's a valid point what you made, right? But I'm just talking about we need to start getting like little victories. Okay, you need to get little wins. So,
One Nation had the little victory. They got 2 new senators. So.
Yes, but then that's a victory for the party, right? But it's not really a victory for the people as per se. People voted for them, right? Okay, what I'm talking about is now you need to start capitalizing on that. So what they need to do now is really start working on, like those senators. They need to get those senators on board. Okay, the other senators who are like-minded to them, like Antic, Canavan. Maybe Price every now and then. She, as I said, she does flip-flop a little bit here and there.
I just wouldn't be able to look at the people in the lower house and be able to pick out people that I would want to form a party around. Whereas in the Senate, you think of them straight away. Who in the lower house can you say, that's someone I want to support? Apart from maybe Andrew Hastie.
Yeah, Andrew Hastie, I started following him a little bit more now. He's starting to get some strength about what he's saying and things like that.
But who else is there?
Right. Well, there's not very many people, right? And
Barnaby's in the lower house.
Barnaby's but this is this is the problem. Okay.
Kevin Hogan's another one, I suppose. Yeah, they're there, but
but they're few and far between.
Yeah.
They're not publicized enough, right? Because they get the same things. We had that same thing when we were campaigning and stuff like that. Just they won't get no media. They're against if you're against that narrative.
Well, let's talk about this because you brought this up before we started about the funding that independent media is getting. Friendly Geordies, what's Chatfield's name? Abby Chatfield.
Hunters.
That's not really happening on our side of the fence, is it?
Well, yeah, and I don't have proof and receipts and numbers, but it seems reasonable that like these left-leaning things, and they get the iHeartRadio deals to be like publicized podcasts with sponsors and so on. Well, you don't see that on the independent right media, and like I'm a small fish, so obviously like having a limited audience, you're not going to attract sponsors. You get your bigger ones, even like Damien at the other side is probably one of the bigger independent guys here in Australia, and I think his YouTube channel is pushing like 50,000 or something now.
Yep.
He doesn't seem to have a lot of sponsors either. He's got like some rando second tier VPN company in PIA that have pushed the boat out and sponsored him, which is awesome. But there's not a lot going on there as far as funding to help support these things, to, spend a bit of money on advertising, getting it on the podcast networks. How do you push that? Plus, the other thing is, even guys like Damien, like we're all trying to run day jobs and earn income and support ourselves. You like everyone doing this sort of stuff on the right have day jobs too. Yep. And so you don't have the ability to focus and do the in-depth research to regularly do a daily show, like with clips from that daily show every day and all the different things that help you really grow and go viral and attract sponsors. And so we end up with this thing where we just stay as minnows with no food to allow us to grow. And because we're running limited things, we get our loyal audiences that always come back for our shows, which is awesome. And we love you guys. Like I get the same thing on my channel and the Awaken Aussies podcast. got the regulars that are always there, contributing, chatting, but that's not enough to help you grow to a critical mass in order to sort of, hit that tipping point to go to the next level.
Do you think a coalition should be formed between the right and the independent media, and then they should actually work together to form a channel?
No, I don't necessarily think that the parties need to get involved. I mean, look, I'm of the view you look to America and what's successful, and what I see in America is podcasts like Patrick Bet-David, Joe Rogan, Tim Pool. They all work together. Alex Jones, Crowder. Yeah, that's who I was looking for. I mean, you must be reading my mind there. They all work together. And that's what we have you on. You've had me on your show. I've been on other. I was on Club Grubbery.
To form a coalition on the right.
Yeah, well, I think it's there. But I think what people need to realize is that we can't rely on the big funders, and I think people on the right make that mistake. They go straight to Gina Rinehart. They go straight to Clive Palmer. They think, "Give me money, give me money, give me money." I think what we need to really be focusing on is, a few levels down. I think, some of the small businesses out there that are family operated, that have a stake in the country, I think they're the ones that probably should be contributing, towards people that are going to advocate for them, whether it be in Parliament or social media as well. But look, we're not shy. Like at Australians for Better Government, and also at the Commanding the Narrative, we always start the show off with, can you donate to us?
Yeah.
Can you become a member of Australians for Better Government? Can you become a member of Let's Rethink Renewables? If we get 100,000 members of Australians for Better Government, that's $3 million.
Yeah.
We can start to do stuff.
Well, you can actually do stuff, and it's only a small piece of the pie from
and it's $35, right?
Yeah.
So for people out there that are sitting there going, "Man, I want my country to change."
That's how you change it.
Is $35 enough for you? Is it too much? For some people it is, but there's a reason why we want that money, is because we want to. We can't spend it. We're an incorporated association. I can't take that money and just spend it on a new car or something like that.
No, you can't. No.
But
it's just got to be justified.
It needs to go back into Australians for Better Government.
And it's public record, isn't it?
Yeah.
So what you spend
and look, here's another thing. If we were to close Australians for Better Government down, we could only transfer that money to another incorporated association with similar objectives.
Right.
So the money that comes in has to be spent on the actual objective, and the objective is changing the government in Australia.
So what you might need to do, and what's a good idea actually, right, is actually to do a video on that and do a podcast maybe on how it operates and how it runs to actually bet people, because it is very hard to get people to part with their money.
I feel asking for donations, it's not something that you want to do. But I notice it does work.
You can't fund it yourself, right?
Yeah, I've for a long time primarily focused on, if you want to support, I've got designs on shirts, I've got a web store, go buy merch. But some people don't want to buy the merch. And I had someone in my comments go, it's not charity, if we're not getting something for nothing. You're doing the show. We actually just want to pay for the show. That's great. So, you know what, I want to put Bitcoin addresses and stuff. I've got a payment gateway for normal cards and stuff. But I was like, you know what? This is the sort of audience. Let's put some crypto wallets on there as well.
Yeah.
And so we can accept payment like that. If people just want to make that donation, we want to give them those options. But I think that's great. But having that stability and the because you look at Daily Wire, someone like the Daily Wire, they didn't just start with Ben and Jeremy in a garage, still with Ben lawyering while he was making the show every day. They got a big influx of cash, so they.
Let me just. I've got a couple comments here from John the Boy. First one, he says the left is way better on social media than us, and then the next comment is hire a young person who's dynamic to do your social media presence on the right. Now, with that said, I look at your channel, professionally produced. You do a good job. It's entertaining. I like watching some of your videos because they're informative, and I learned some stuff watching your videos. When you think about what John has just said, I don't think you're doing anything wrong, and I don't think you're doing anything that's not as good as what the left are doing. It has to have something to do with the analytics, right?
Well, I think there's two things. Either there is
not the analytics, the algorithms.
Yeah. I think some of the algorithms certainly sort of put the thumb down on me. Depending, I did one on the reef and the coral coverage.
Yeah,
and you can clearly see in the analytics, YouTube sniped that one and went no.
Yeah.
It's ridiculously obvious. But also the other thing around having a person, and look, my dream would be to be getting enough YouTube dollars or other sponsor dollars and things to actually, have a dedicated studio space, to have a social media person, to have a producer to help with the research. I would love to run the full gamut and employ some Australians and have people to help do the editing and the cutting down for the clips and the TikToks and things so you can grow. But I don't have the money to just throw into that at this point in time.
Yeah, John's saying no. I'm talking about 30 to 90 second videos. We'll go on the Commanding the Narrative YouTube channel. We've got a whole host of.
You're clearly doing
they're all
down than I am.
They're all less than a minute. I mean, they have to be to go on YouTube.
Right?
Yeah.
Well, Insta limits you to nothing.
So we're doing those things. And the quality of the guests that we get on our show. I mean,
but I think the other thing is the talking head stuff. You need the not just here's my clip from an interview. You need the different stuff for different audiences. I know my stuff. I was saying at the start, hits mainly sort of late Gen Y, Gen X, Boomers. But who's hitting the Gen Zs? Who's we've got that Celine 10 who's making a storm and she's blowing up her followers out of nowhere. She's a younger woman who's putting out content. That's great. Ozpill was younger. He's sort of vanished off the scene. I don't know what happened to Ozpill. But you need those younger guys that the younger TikTokers are actually going to resonate with and connect with and stuff. So we need a gamut of different types of people in different media.
There isn't a Friendly Geordies on the right. I mean,
I didn't watch his stuff, so I don't know what his.
Well, he's more of an entertainer. I mean, he's harsh. I mean, he goes for the jugular. Yeah. But it's a comedy skit, really.
My wife is mad at me if I go too hard on people. She's like, oh.
Well, the only comedy skit I've seen on the right is that Danger Dan guy, and that's probably a bit
brutal. I've tried doing a few of the the little character bits with two people talking to each other, and I'm both people, and editing that together. That takes a lot more time and work to do.
Yeah.
And I mean, Senator Babbitt's now trying to do that sort of stuff, and I'm like, I get the intent, and I think that's a good form of media, and it's a good medium to use because it does get people to watch, and it's like, they're so silly. But I don't necessarily want my sitting senators doing that. I think
Nicholas says we definitely don't need a Friendly Geordies on the right. Well, I mean, he's the biggest podcaster in Australia. So
I've got a question as well. So how old's John the Boy?
21 or 22.
Is he able to do clips and stuff like that? Because I tell you what, right? You can do your part. And you can clip our videos for us.
What's wrong with the videos that we're putting out?
I don't think there's anything wrong with it. But what I'm saying is everyone's like, you can hire somebody to do this and you can hire somebody to do that. We just said, so we don't have endless amounts of money to do these things. It's actually mostly self-funded apart from some of our very gracious donations that we do get or that Stephen gets with Commanding the Narrative and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So what happens is what do you want in? Like, if somebody's going to want $50 an hour to sit there and cut through videos, well, we don't have it.
Mind you, then you watch any of I watched a few of I don't watch a lot of RV stuff on Rebel, but I watched his so-called debate with John, and I watched him with Chris Coveries the other week. And you see every 3 seconds, super chat, $5, $7, $6, $7. They must be making like heaps of just super chat.
God, that's a terrible one of me there.
Yeah.
that's horrible. No wonder we're not getting any. But look at all these. I mean, it's not like we're not doing it. It's happening. I mean, look at all this stuff.
You're amazing at it. I've done
over 200. I mean, look at the look at the I think the thumbnails are really good. I mean, we're doing that sort of stuff. But
you get great, interesting guests on.
You do a quality. It's a quality production.
Well, speaking of John the Boy, let's bring him on. G'day, mate. How you going?
Hey, John.
Good. How are you guys going?
Good. How are you,
mate?
I was going to say you should call in.
I'm like, my thing is with this, right? You guys are doing like really good job. You're clipping really good clips, but for a young person, they're not going to look at it because it's absolutely boring. I'm just telling you, like, straight up, right? Because the thing is, right, you've got to have clips where like every less than 5 seconds, every 3 seconds, you're cutting to another clip. It's just click, clip, clip. It's always changing. I'm learning that with my social media that I'm doing now. It's got to be short. It's got to be quick because that's where young people are at. They're not at 1 hour conversations. They're not 15-minute conversations. Not even a 5-minute conversation. They're at 1 to 3 minutes.
But I'm just talking about the shorts, mate. I mean, the YouTube shorts are a minute.
Yeah, but then they're not going to watch it because it's not dynamic. It's just two people sitting around talking about something they're not interested in.
Not dynamic.
That's politics.
You need Subway Surfer at the bottom of the clip, right? Or you need someone like chopping carrots or doing something interesting with their head. That's what the key TikToks do.
Oh, no, you know what I need? I need Sydney Sweeney dancing at the bottom while Eric Lowe's talking about South Africa. Yeah.
You know what you could do? I'll tell you what you could do.
I'm going to start to do that. I'm going to do a Sydney Sweeney little GIF of her just dancing back and forth.
Or somebody just spinning a fidget spin, like just doing a fidget thing, like just bang, bang.
But I mean, John's making a good point. I mean, that is a key known thing with TikTok, that attention span. Let's put something visually interesting. So you see that all the time, where you get this unrelated voice track or talking track over someone where they're doing interesting woodcraft.
Is that what that is? You know what?
That's an attention grab. It make you watch the thing while you listen to their thing.
John, tell me this. I mean, of kids that are your age, that are political. I mean, obviously they're watching cat videos or skateboarding videos or whatever it might be. But the ones that are interested in politics, are people like Friendly Geordies the people they watch? What are some of the other ones that they're watching out there that maybe we should start getting some ideas from?
Politically, like who's political? I mean, there isn't like a lot of political, like that's what one of my comments is, like a lot of people aren't political. It's just influencers who insert their political beliefs into something and then they become political because of the virtue signaling that they have to agree with this person because they trust this person. So there's not like a political person that I can think of that's out there besides Friendly Geordies or maybe Abby Chatfield or one of them, but it's not like there's a political person out there that we're listening to. There's influencers out there that people like, and because they have an opinion that they have to agree with because they trust them as a person.
You see, I watch Friendly Geordie's stuff, and look, I disagree with most of his views, but I still find his videos entertaining, and I laugh at his stuff, and I look at it, and I go, there's no way I could produce something like what Friendly Geordie's does, because firstly, he's extremely intelligent. I'm not saying that I'm not intelligent, but he's got that wit. He's got, I mean, and you can tell he's got a team behind him as well. He's probably got people writing his scripts and doing different things for him. I mean, we just can't compete with that.
So, John, what are you saying is maybe what we should do is, for commanding the narrative when we're doing our videos, we should go-karting, film us racing, and then edit over the top of it our political views. Would people watch? Would you watch that?
No, not me personally, because I don't like those sort of things, right? But the way you've got to do it is, right, a topic that you're talking about in a podcast, you've got to take that out and you've got to make a short video about that, but you have to make it culturally relevant. You've got to start with the culture point and then turn it into politics, because if you start at politics, no one's going to join. No one's going to watch. They're just like, what is this?
So let's fold a paper plane. And this is how you do it, and then we're talking about politics.
No, that's like the one I did with the machete thing, right? Where I dressed up with a balaclava and pretended I was a Bunnings trying to buy different things. I couldn't buy a machete; they were banned. But then I'm like, oh, what about this? And I grabbed a star picket. Or what about this? And I grabbed a hatchet. And I was like being like this, like I was showing the ridiculousness of the situation through like a more comedy sketch kind of thing versus. Have you heard about this machete crime thing? This is outrageous. And like, because that's the content we normally do, that kind of talking head stuff, but making it more sketch interesting. It's like, oh, what's going on here? Oh, there's some characters going on. And it's a bit more like,
I think the problem with from speaking personally, I mean, I'm interested in politics. I don't like watching the stupid videos on YouTube. I mean, that just drives, that's like beating my head against the wall. But I like, I like solutions-based discussions. I like long form podcasts. I mean, I'm drawn to someone like Joe Rogan who will have someone on and flesh out an issue. I listen to Patrick Bet-David all the time. That's what I like. So obviously that's it's coming out through exactly.
Well, I was inspired by guys like Crowder, and so that influenced my style and brand and that.
But I think the thing is with that, how are you going to get people into that space, right? They're not going to jump from a 3-second clip to an hour-long conversation just like that. You've got to work your way up to it. So you've got to start with this, not brain rot content, but stuff that's akin to it, where it's not the most, I don't know, professionally produced or the most, like, I don't know, like people in suits talking about like really boring topics that you think don't affect your life. You gotta find a connection point somewhere between young people and topics that they don't think affect them.
One of the guys that's doing pretty well is Scotty, Mr. Shallow Chow. He was on my show the other night. He does a great job. He's daily content. He's a beast. He's a builder. He's just one of those guys. I think he just doesn't have an off position. Like he's just always doing stuff. And so he'll record stuff with him on the treadmill, talking about stuff, and then he uses CapCut or whatever and just puts in little other clips and stuff.
Well,
and like,
someone like Stuart Bonds. I mean, he just walking on his farm with his phone there doing a live, and he gets tens of thousands.
So
of people
he does the same thing, just walking and talking.
Yeah. So
well,
anyway, mate.
No, I was just going to say, like even that's going to be way more interesting to someone because, like someone who's working, they're going to feel more connected to someone who's actually doing something than just two people who are having a conversation. Not that it's not a good conversation, I absolutely agree, but people are going to find that cultural connection point with the tradie more than they are with two people in suits having a conversation.
Well, let me tell you something, mate. If we go over the 2 hours tonight, then I can't generate my AI clips that do all my 1 minute clips. So we need to keep it. We only got 5 minutes left, but before we let you go, tell us what you're doing, because I know you're involved with the conservative Christian groups down in Victoria. I've seen you dabble with social media yourself, so let everyone know what you're up to and how they can follow you.
Yeah, so I'm the Victorian coordinator for the Young Conservatives for Christ down here. We're just trying to get any Christians that are interested in politics just to network with each other and try and work with each other for Christian values. And I'm on the committee for the March for the Babies as well. And we're trying to get lots of word out about abortion and the actual dismemberment of babies that happens. We lose about 90,000 babies every year here in Australia. But 60,000 supposedly in Israel is a big deal. But so the best place to follow us is at ycfc.vic. That's probably the easiest. And then you can get to my personal account where I post some more stuff on there. That'll be easy to find. But yeah, and you can go to our website, youngconservativeforchrist.com.
And tell me, mate, you're on the board of a walk for the or march for the babies.
I'm on the committee. Yeah.
Yeah, can you let old Bernie Finn know that he should reply to my email and come back on the show?
Oh, okay. All right. I'll try and let him know. We might have a meeting on Monday. I'll see if I'll try and I'll bring it up.
Yeah, good. He's one of my favorite guests.
Yeah,
so we got to get Bernie back on the show.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. I'll let him know.
Yeah, awesome, mate. Well, thanks for watching tonight, and I need to reach out to you a little bit more. Maybe we can do some stuff with Australians for Better Government and what you're doing down there, because we want to have a little bit of a youth movement with what we're doing as well, because that's where the future is. We're trying to have a better country for all the generations that come through.
Yeah, you got to come down here. So that's the problem. We're going up to Queensland, but you got to come down here.
Hey, mate, it's on the list. We can't be everywhere. All right, mate. We'll let you go and we'll talk.
All right.
Thanks,
See you guys.
Thanks, John.
Bye.
All right. As I said, I don't want to go over the two hour mark because we do have lives, but also I can't get those the AI jet to generate all my clips. But Dave, thanks for coming on again. It's good to see you.
Thanks for having me.
Again, let everyone know how they can follow you and keep up with your great content that they should all support as well.
Head to daverightnow.com. That's nice and easy. Just Google Dave Right Now. You find.
You got your own website now.
Yeah, always. I go that diverts to my Substack. So finally registered.
Oh, it's on your Substack.
But if you go to daverightnow.com, it takes you to my Substack where you can subscribe, get me in your inbox whenever I post it, because you can't trust these social algorithms to put stuff in the feed.
Yeah.
So check it out. That'd be awesome.
And speaking of which, if you haven't gone to commandthenarrative.com already, go and do it right now. Sign up to the newsletter. And if you want to follow everything that I'm doing and we're doing, whether it be Australians for Better Government or Let's Rethink Renewables or any articles that I might write in the Light Australia newspaper or the Spectator or, whatever it is, when we do it, we've got our rods in a whole bunch of different fires. You would think that I would have 100,000 followers on X, but I don't. I think I've got 400. But, head to commandthenarrative.com. Don't rely on social media. Go back to old school websites and do it that way, and you'll get that email in your mailbox. It doesn't happen every day. It happens maybe it was once a week. Now I think it's more like twice or once a fortnight, because
it's great value though. I love reading his newsletter.
Oh, thanks, bro. All right, and share this out as best you can. As you can tell tonight, we're hopeless with algorithms and all that sort of stuff. We do rely on our audience, and we appreciate you. So thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you all next time.
Yeah.
Bye.